Today on Judge Faith, a dispute over who is the owner of a biting dog brings these neighbors to court.
The dog jumped on top of her on the road. She was on the ground, and the dog bit her on her hand, her right hand. I had to call the ambulance. We took her to the hospital.
This is her dog. She wanted to return the dog back to me when the dog had bit her child.
From everything I've heard today, I am concerned about you owning these dogs.
And later, he thought he'd finally sold his motorcycle, but he forgot to check the buyer's ID.
I took the money from that and
You had
From
cash.
my nightstand.
So you just helped yourself to the cash.
yeah, I had thought that perhaps I could sway his decision the other way once I had
After
bought
the
it.
purchase, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. That's your philosophy.
Faith Jenkins. Her distinguished legal career began when she graduated first in her law school class. She quickly became a tough New York City prosecutor, and then a preeminent legal analyst on cable news. And now she's the judge in her own courtroom. Her cases are real, and her rulings are final. She is Judge Faith. Plaintiff Bernadette Holness says her former tenant stopped paying rent and refuses to cover the costs of medical bills for injuries caused by his pit bull. She is accompanied in court by her neighbor, Carlene Williams. Defendant Tyree Rivera says the pit bull belonged to the plaintiff and he stopped paying rent because her house went into foreclosure. He's countersuing for illegal eviction and harassment. He is accompanied in court by his mother, Kim Rivera.
Remain seated and come to order. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Faith Jenkins presiding. Your Honor, this case is Holness versus Rivera.
Thank you, Barbara. Bernadette Holness?
Yes.
You are suing the defendant Tyree Rivera for $4,900 for unpaid rent and the cost regarding a dog bite and for pain and suffering.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Rivera, you are countersuing for an illegal eviction and harassment, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you have a witness with you today?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
Are you Kim Rivera?
Yes, ma'am.
You're Tyree's mother?
Yes, I am.
And you have a witness as well?
Yes.
Carlene Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you are the plaintiff's neighbor.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can have a seat.
Thank you.
I understand from your complaint that the defendant actually lived with you for a time period. So is this a duplex?
Yes.
Okay, so in the bottom, the first floor of the duplex was a completely separate unit from the second.
Yes, ma'am.
So you had your own bathroom,
yes,
own
yes.
kitchen, everything upstairs?
Yes, two-bedroom apartment upstairs, yes.
Okay, and so downstairs, there's 2 bedrooms and also a separate bathroom and
Bathroom,
kitchen?
yes.
Okay, perfect. And so what happens after the defendant moves in?
One day I went away, I came back, I saw a dog greet me at my front door. And I asked him, whose dog is this? He said to me, it's his friend dog and he's only keeping him for the weekend. And another week later, there was 2 more pit bulls in the back of my house without my understanding.
My question is, did you bring 3 dogs to live in the room with you?
I brought 3 dogs, but I spoke to her about it in her apartment upstairs.
There was an incident where you said one of the dogs bit someone, correct?
Yes, which is Carlene's daughter.
Can you step up, ma'am? Sure. What happened?
My other little daughter, which is 7, she ran to the house, started screaming and crying, and the dog was on top of my 9-year-old daughter. And
how did the dogs get out?
This is her dog. I gave a dog to her. She came downstairs. The dog name is Special. I have evidence right here. This is her dog. She wanted to return the dog back to me when the dog had bit her child. And I'm the one who came outside and asked her daughter if she was okay. She panicked to me, what I'm gonna do, Ty, what I'm gonna do. I said, it's nothing I could do. You left your dog outside. My dog was in the cage. It's proof right here that she took a puppy from me.
Yeah, Your Honor.
And the dogs is puppy. They not full-grown pits.
Okay, so let's get back to what happened to your daughter.
the dog jumped on top of her on the road. She was on the ground, and the dog bit her on her hand. And,
was she okay?
She was okay, but she said it's not her dog, it's her tenant's dog.
Did you bring a video you wanted me to see in court today?
Yes, ma'am.
What is on the video I'm about to see?
Okay, Your Honor, that's me feeding the dog, and I did, tape that I was feeding the dog and the date. This is when he left a whole week. I kept those dogs alive. because they live in filth, they're locked up in the cage, and I mean, my house is stink with poo, dog poo, I have to be constantly cleaning. You know, it's very disgusting.
What do you have to say about that?
That is true, Your Honor, because even when I came to serve him the papers, when you walk through that front door, there's a door right here. That's his room. The first door is his, and the next room is the other tenants. And the cage was right next to his, with the 3 dogs in the cage.
This young lady in the with the daughter, okay? She called me. I'm like, who are you? She told me about the dog. I said, why are you calling me about this dog? This is Bernadette's dog. Bernadette called me a panicking at work. Oh, guess what? I left the gate open and the dog was out.
I've heard enough about the pit bulls.
Coming up on Judge Faith, Tyree gives another excuse in court, while Bernadette and Carlene attempt to explain their bad behavior on the block.
Coming downstairs, harassing me, knocking on my door. Our stuff was outside.
They weren't
on the
outside yet.
snow.
They had an argument at the door, because I think she changed the lock on the door.
And Judge Faith lays down the law.
You agree to pay rent, you have to pay the rent. People come in here, they come with all kinds of excuses as to why they don't have to pay rent. And I'm telling you, you have to pay rent.
And later, will his decision to take the money and run cost him in court?
When he came to purchase a bike, he said that he was going to Stanford University. I assumed, he was of age to ride.
I don't know, he looks pretty young. I would have asked his age.
I mean, I really wasn't pressed on, him being old enough, nor did I.
And he had $825 in cash.
Plaintiff Bernadette Holness says her former tenant stopped paying rent and refuses to cover the costs of medical bills for injuries caused by his pit bull. She is accompanied in court by her neighbor, Carlene Williams. Defendant Tyree Rivera says the pit bull belonged to the plaintiff, and he stopped paying rent because her house went into foreclosure. He's countersuing for illegal eviction and harassment. He is accompanied in court by his mother, Kim Rivera.
Let's get to the next part of your lawsuit, which you say is unpaid rent.
Yes,
now, you
ma'am.
admit in your answer that you stopped paying rent at some point. When
Yes.
was that?
In December.
When did you move out?
I moved out. When I moved out?
Okay. So after she did the illegal.
Ma'am, I just need the month
Okay.
and the year.
February. I'm gonna say
I have the
okay
date
after
right here.
January.
What
after-
month and year did he move out?
No, hold on.
He moved, Your Honor.
moved
you're
out
not-
in April, Your
In
Honor.
April, Your Honor.
Okay.
May.
April.
So from December of 2013 to April of
The last-
2014,
yes, the last
you
week in
lived there
April.
without paying rent.
That's a lie.
You agree to pay rent, you have to pay the rent. People come in here, they come with all kinds of excuses as to why they don't have to pay rent. And I'm telling you, you have to pay rent. So from December to May, when you told me you finally officially moved out, you owe her rent for those months. What is your counterclaim about?
Illegal eviction and what's the other one?
The illegal eviction that's done. I read the papers about that. I understand exactly what happened. She moved your things out. The police were called. You moved them right back in. So there's no damage as a result. That wasn't illegal eviction. You cannot do that. But I'm just saying in terms of you suffering damages, because you moved your things right back in, you suffered no damages.
Your Honor.
Okay, you can have a seat for a
Okay.
second. Thank you. What is your counterclaim about for harassment?
Coming downstairs, harassing me, knocking on my door. I'm using the bathroom. She'd be sitting there
You know
right.
what? You need to get your own place then.
She'd be.
You need
It
to get
is
your
my
own
own
place.
place.
No,
It is
you're
my
a
own
roommate.
place.
You are a roommate. You move
But
into
she
a
live
room.
upstairs though. I'm
Sir,
got the downstairs.
what I'm telling you is, let me explain something to you. If you don't like the rules where you live, then you move or you get your own place. It's quite simple.
Can
Okay, and
can
what
I
happened
say
with the
something?
dog? You said there's something about somebody spreading something on a car.
Over
What happened
my
with that?
boyfriend's car, yes.
Okay.
Terry came in from work, and they had an argument at the door, because I think she changed the lock on the door.
No,
Bernadette changed the lock on the door.
My stuff was outside.
They weren't
on the
outside yet.
snow.
They weren't
On the
outside
snow.
yet.
Stop interrupting. What happened? Specifically, what did you see?
His girlfriend with a dog poop in the bag, and they
Yes.
started
she
wiping
did
it.
it.
What? Yes, wiping the poop over
did it.
over my boyfriend's car.
Yeah, she did
Yes.
it. You know why? Because she threw my daughter's stuff out. My plate came. Let me talk.
So what I'm looking at here are three pretty disgusting photos of basically dog feces spread all over someone's car.
Which is her
My boyfriend's car.
Her boyfriend's car, and you say that your girlfriend did it. My ruling in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,485. That's $3,600 in back rent, which you admit to owing. You've come up with all kinds of excuses as to why you didn't pay. None of them are good enough. You also are going to pay the $820 in hospital bills based on the testimony I heard today. I credit the plaintiff's testimony that these were your dogs. Let me say a few things about this case. You know, sometimes when people come into court, they may not have absolute proof, and I have to listen to both sides, and I have to make a judgment call sometimes. And from everything I've heard today, I am concerned about you owning these dogs. And this is just my impression. I'm telling you my impression. So my judgment is for the plaintiff, $4,485.
Plaintiff Tim Fraker says the defendant sold his underage son a high-speed motorcycle without parental consent. He is suing for the cost of the motorcycle. He is accompanied in court by his son, Tyler Fraker. Defendant Dale Mosick says he thought Tyler was of age, and he sold him the bike with a no money-back agreement. He is countersuing for lost wages.
Tim Fraker and Tyler Fraker?
Yes, ma'am.
You were suing the defendant Dale Mosick
Correct.
for $825, the cost of an illegal sale of a motorcycle, illegal according to you, correct? And you are countersuing for $200 for lost wages?
Correct.
Why don't we start with you? Tell me what happened here. How do you know the defendant?
I was looking online for a new motorcycle, and I came across the defendant's ad, and I had contacted him about it.
Was it on Craigslist?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
And I had texted him about it, and I had showed the ad to my father, and he had...
What did you say when you saw the ad?
Absolutely no way.
Okay.
The motorcycle had been crashed, and it was a fast motorcycle. He's 17, you know, and I don't want him on a 160-mile-an-hour motorcycle.
And he was only 17 at the time?
Yes.
And so after he told you that, what did you do?
Well, I pleaded and begged and wanted to get it, and so I waited until he had went up to the lake after we had sold an older motorcycle that I had just had, and I took the money from that and texted.
You took the money from where?
From the previous motorcycle we had sold.
Okay, and so you had
From
cash.
my nightstand. Yeah,
Okay.
I sold the motorcycle, I put it there, then I went to the lake.
So you
He
just
was
helped
gonna-
yourself to the cash.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Not a good move, right?
no, not
I mean,
the
you were
smartest
going to
decision.
go buy the motorcycle. You do know that your dad would eventually realize, like, you bought a motorcycle, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I had thought that perhaps I could sway his decision the other way once I had
After
bought
the
it.
purchase, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. That's your philosophy.
That was,
All right.
That was the thought process behind
So what
it, I
happened?
guess.
So he called you. What happened?
Correct. He called me. We did all the communication via text message. He met me at my house on a Saturday, and we proceeded to look at the bike.
What date was this? Do you remember?
This was July 26th
Of this year?
of 2014.
Okay.
We looked at the bike together. He came to my house. He test rode the bike. He had all of his motorcycle equipment, helmet, jacket, and gloves and everything. So I assumed, he was of age to ride.
Did you ask him how old he was?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Just on the fact that he had all that stuff, he said that he had his endorsement. So, I mean, I really wasn't pressed on, him being old enough, nor
And
did I.
he had $825 in cash.
Next on Judge Faith.
Well, there was a bag of parts in his truck for a motorcycle that we don't have. It just didn't add up. That money was gone, so I was pretty sure I knew what happened. Monday, about noon, I figured it out.
So I don't have to tell you how it's not a good idea to steal $825 from your parents, right?
I think I got that.
Okay, you got it? All right, so we're good on that.
Plaintiff Tim Fraker says the defendant broke the law when he sold his 17-year-old son a motorcycle without parental approval. He is suing for the cost of the motorcycle. He is accompanied in court by his son, Tyler Fraker. Defendant Dale Mosick says he sold the bike as is, and it's not his fault the plaintiff can't control his teenage son.
What happened when you found out he purchased this motorcycle?
Well, we were at the lake Saturday and Sunday. He came up Sunday, didn't say a word. Monday.
Was he riding the motorcycle as if you would notice?
He came up in the car with another friend. So we took the boys skiing and that kind of thing Sunday. Never mentioned a thing. Monday, about noon, I figured it out. And
how did you figure it out?
Well, there was a bag of parts in his truck for a motorcycle that we don't have. His truck was in the driveway, everything else, so it just didn't add up. That money was gone, so I was pretty sure I knew what happened.
And so did you have a conversation with him about that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And did you, so I don't have to tell you how it's not a good idea to steal $825 from your parents, right?
I think I got that.
Okay, you got it? All right, so we're good on that. So you called the defendant and tell him, hey, my son is 17 years old. You need my permission. He needed my permission to buy this motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am. And I know that Tyler had signed the title. And in fact, he gave him the title unnotarized. They both just kind of, in fact, I've got it here. They just filled it out and gave it to Tyler, and he took his money and sent him away.
Okay, so you call him and tell him my son is 17. He's not authorized to buy this motorcycle unless he has my signature and it's notarized.
Correct.
And what's your response to that?
Well, to that, when he came to purchase a bike, he said that he was going to Stanford University and that, I assumed that he was of age.
I don't know. He looks pretty young. I would have asked his age. You also wrote in your answer, well, what if he blew the engine? Because at this point, I think you're getting the motorcycle back and he's going to get the money back, right? And so you were concerned about one of the reasons you told the plaintiff was that what if he blew the engine? What if he messed up my bike?
Right.
Or why should I accept it?
He took the bike off my property. I mean, there's got to be something that says when you take it, you take it.
Well, no, there is. There's the law of as-is sales, and if he was 18 and we were here, I would say, too bad, so sad, buyer beware. He has the bike, it's his, but he's not 18, so that doesn't apply to him. You're from Ohio, right?
Correct.
So the law in Ohio is pretty crystal clear about this. The law is you have to be competent to enter into a contract, and the law doesn't consider young people who are under the age of 18 legally competent to enter into binding contracts. And so when they do that, on their own without their parents, if they don't want to go through the contract, they can rescind it if they want to.
And now, Judge Faith rules.
So, I mean, you really don't have a defense here because in order for this sale to have been a valid sale, you needed his father's signature and it had to be notarized. And you don't have either of those things, right?
No.
What's your counterclaim about?
I'm countersuing for lost wages for a day's worth of work to be here and this inconvenience on me and also my family.
First, your $200 counterclaim, you don't get lost wages because you have to come to court and defend a lawsuit. The law is pretty clear. It's on DMV's website even for Ohio, so you could have gone on the website yourself and did a quick Google search to find this out. And so you don't get lost wages for coming to court. I think that you just didn't want to return the cash. I understand cash is king. You have the money. You wanted to sell the bike. It's gone. But unfortunately, you sold it to someone who wasn't of age, and his father does not approve of him having the bike.
He previously owned a motorcycle. That's where he got the cash from.
But he doesn't want to own
At
this
16?
motorcycle. He doesn't have to give us a reason. He doesn't have to tell us why. He does not want his son owning this particular motorcycle. Based on the law in your state, it's clear here that the sale can be voided, and it will. So I'm ordering you to return the motorcycle back to him, and I'm ordering you to return the $825 that he paid you for the motorcycle. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff. Counterclaims dismissed.
Thank you.
If you or someone you know has a dispute, don't take the law into your own hands. Let Judge Faith rule on it for you. To submit your case, go to judgefaith.com and tell us your story. See you in court.